underscore. The Bombay Plan was the popular title of a plan of economic development for India, which was prepared by a cross-section of India's leading capitalists. The 8 capitalists involved in this plan were Purushottam Thakurdas, J.R.D. Tapit, G.D. Birla, Lala Sri Ram, Kasturbai Bhai, A.D. Shafat, Avdashir Dalal and John Mathai. 18. The plan was published in 1944-45. Out of these 8 industrialists, Purushottam Thakurdas was one among the 15 members of the National Planning Committee 1938-19. Charles R.D. Tapit, G.D. Birla and Lala Sri Ram were members of the subcommittees, 29 in total of the National Planning Committee. 20. The popular sentiments regarding the need of planning and crisscross of memberships between the NPC and the Bombay Plan Club made possible some clear-cut agreements between these 2 major plans, which ultimately went to mold the very shape of the Indian economy after independence. We may have a look at some of the very important agreements. 21. By a basic agreement on the issue of the agrarian restructuring, abolition of all intermediaries, i.e., zamindari abolition, minimum wages, guarantee of minimum or fair prices for agricultural products, cooperatives, credit and marketing supports. II. Agreement on rapid industrialization, for which both the plans agreed upon an emphasis on heavy capital goods and basic industries. The Bombay Plan had allocated 35% of its total plan outlay on basic industries. II. Taking clues from the Soviet planning, the NPC and the Bombay Plan both were in favor of a simultaneous development of the essential consumer goods industries, but as a low-key affair. IV. Both the plans agreed upon the importance of promoting the medium-scale, small-scale and cottage industries, as they could provide greater employment and require lesser capital and lower order of plants and machineries. V. Both the plans wanted the state to play an active role in the economy through planning, controlling and overseeing the different areas of the economy, i.e., trade, industry and banking, through state ownership, public sector, or through direct and extensive control over them. VI. Large-scale measures for social welfare were favored by both the plans, which suggested to be based on issues like right to work and full employment, the guarantee of a minimum wage, greater state expenditure on housing, water and sanitation, free education, social insurance to cover unemployment and sickness, and provision of utility services such as electricity and transportation at a low cost through state subsidies. VII. Both the plans agreed on a planning which could do away with gross inequalities through measures like progressive taxation and prevention of concentration of wealth. Inequality was considered undesirable as it tended to restrict the domestic market. The Gandhian Plan espousing the spirit of the Gandhian economic thinking, Simon Narayan Agarwal formulated the Gandhian Plan in 1944. The plan laid more emphasis on agriculture. Even if he referred to industrialization, it was to the level of promoting cottage and village-level industries, unlike the NPC and the Bombay Plan, which supported the leading role for the heavy and large industries. The plan articulated a decentralized economic structure for India with self-contained villages. It needs to be noted here that the Gandhians did not agree with the views of the NPC or the Bombay Plan, particularly on issues like centralized planning, dominant role of the state in the economy, and the emphasis on industrialization being the major ones. 22. For Gandhi, the machinery, commercialization and centralized state power were the curses of modern civilization, thrust upon the Indian people by European colonialism. It was industrialism itself, Gandhi argued, rather than the inability to industrialize, which was the root cause of Indian poverty. This was until the 1940s that the Congress supported the above given view of Gandhi to mobilize a mass movement against the colonial rule. But it was in the NPC that the Congress tried to articulate a different view on these issues, almost taking a break from Gandhi's ideas. The very first session of the NPC was brought to an impasse by J.C. Kumarappa, the lone Gandhian on a 15-member NPC, by questioning the authority of the NPC to discuss plans for industrialization. He said on the occasion that the national priority as adopted by the Congress was to restrict and eliminate modern industrialism. The impasse was normalized after Nehru intervened and declared that most members of the NPC felt that large-scale industry ought to be promoted as long as it did not come into conflict with the cottage industries. 23. This was a long-drawn ideological impasse which made it necessary to articulate the Gandhian view of planning via this plan.